Get ready for massive moves because Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon is joining a high-stakes U.S. business delegation heading to China for critical talks with President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping. This is huge because the delegation also includes leaders from Tesla and Apple, putting Qualcomm right in the middle of discussions about vital U.S. access to the massive Chinese market. We break down exactly what this trip means for semiconductor export rules and the future of commerce between the U.S. and China.
Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to hold it with one hand? The PopSocket's Pop Grip gives you a secure grip, works as a phone stand, and even lets you swap the top for a fresh new look. Simple, useful, and perfect for everyday phone use. Click the link in the comments to grab yours on Amazon.
The momentum for Qualcomm is absolutely explosive right now. The stock has smashed records, closing higher on Monday to hit an all-time high, showing incredible strength driven by massive AI chip momentum. Following a stellar fiscal second quarter earnings report that beat all expectations, CEO Cristiano Amon dropped a bombshell. Initial shipments of a custom data center chip are set to begin in the December quarter with a major hyperscaler. This signals a massive pivot for Qualcomm beyond just smartphones and straight into the core of AI infrastructure. This shift is changing everything. Analysts are scrambling, with upgrades following the earnings report, and investors are seeing Qualcomm move from a smartphone chip company to a major player in AI infrastructure. Amon's comments about that large hyperscaler deal are setting the stage for a multi-generation engagement that could redefine the company's revenue mix. We look at how this AI push, combined with growth in automotive and IoT, is positioning Qualcomm to capture a huge piece of the global data center market. And what's next for this powerhouse? Qualcomm is drawing intense attention as it solidifies its position not just as a smartphone chip supplier, but as a new powerhouse in the broader semiconductor landscape. With global sales projected to surpass $1 trillion this year, driven by AI demand, the questions are huge. How will Qualcomm navigate these new market realities? Don't miss a single update on how these geopolitical shifts and massive AI deals impact your portfolio. Stay tuned right here for all the deep dives you need to know. Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon is participating in a U.S. business delegation trip to China, coinciding with President Donald Trump's upcoming summit with Xi Jinping. The delegation, which also includes leaders from Tesla and Apple, is focused on negotiating business agreements and discussing U.S. access to the Chinese market, with semiconductor export rules and commercial ties at the forefront of the discussions. For investors monitoring Nasdaq GS, QCOM, this visit is highly significant as it intersects geopolitics with Qualcomm's core business in wireless chips, licensing, and semiconductor technologies. Given China's role as a major market and production base for global electronics, access terms for U.S. chip companies are crucial for long-term planning and capital allocation. The outcomes of the summit remain uncertain, but any new agreements or policy signals regarding semiconductor exports, market access, or licensing regimes could significantly impact Qualcomm's future deal pipeline, supply chain strategy, and compliance costs. Investors should closely track this trip as it relates to geopolitical risk in the context of U.S. chip stocks. Beyond the immediate focus on trade policy, this trip spotlights Qualcomm's strategic positioning. With Cristiano Amon engaging with leadership from Tesla and Apple, Qualcomm is positioned in discussions concerning handset licensing, the demand for AI infrastructure, and potential adjustments to export rules. Since China is a vital market for smartphones and connected devices, and critical for global electronics manufacturing, changes in chip export rules or software-defined vehicle policies could influence Qualcomm's revenue mix across handsets, automotive, and data center custom silicon. Qualcomm is actively expanding its business into AI data center chips and automotive systems while maintaining reliance on mobile royalties and chip sales. Clearer pathways for U.S. chip companies to sell advanced processors or secure local partnerships could support Qualcomm's efforts in AI-centric hardware and its data center exposure. Conversely, stricter regulations or pressure for local alternatives could heighten geopolitical and regulatory risks. This engagement is tied to a key narrative catalyst: Qualcomm's effort to deepen international relationships to support the growing demand for AI-powered devices, automotive, and industrial IoT. Heightened focus on U.S. China tech sovereignty challenges the assumption that Qualcomm can expand its market steadily without disruption from trade shifts. Analysts caution that earnings are forecast to decline on average over the next 3 years, meaning a less favorable outcome from these talks could place pressure on Qualcomm amid higher geopolitical and regulatory scrutiny. Analysts have identified trade and policy uncertainty as key risks, underscoring how rapidly semiconductor export rules or licensing terms could shift compared to peers like NVIDIA and AMD. Despite these risks, Qualcomm's existing strong net income and robust buyback and dividend programs offer a buffer. If commercial ties with China remain constructive, investors can benefit from cash returns while the company pursues its AA-focused partnerships. Investors are advised to watch for concrete outcomes, such as references to specific export rules, licensing frameworks, or AI automotive purchase agreements involving U.S. chip suppliers, and to monitor how Qualcomm characterizes its China exposure in upcoming calls. Furthermore, tracking competitor reactions to policymakers regarding export controls will be key to understanding which companies are best positioned for future AI and data center orders connected to Chinese customers. Qualcomm derivatives data in USD is available through CryptoRank. The provided information points to historical price data for Qualcomm QCOM derivatives, allowing investors and analysts to download relevant data for market analysis. Qualcomm stock surged to an all-time high on Monday, driven by strong momentum in its artificial intelligence chip division. Closing at $237.53, QCOM rose 8.4% on the day, surpassing its previous record close of $227.09 set in June 2024. This rally marks a significant uptrend, as the stock has closed higher in 5 consecutive sessions, achieving a 41% gain over that period, the best 5-day stretch since late April 2019. The positive movement follows the company's fiscal second quarter earnings report on April 29, which exceeded Wall Street estimates for both revenue and profit. Crucially, investor sentiment shifted following comments from CEO Cristiano Amon. Amon disclosed that initial shipments of a custom data center chip are scheduled to commence in the December quarter with a major hyperscaler, hinting at a multi-generation partnership. This development is signaling a strategic pivot for Qualcomm, moving beyond its traditional smartphone chip focus to aggressively target AI infrastructure at scale. This disclosure prompted immediate analyst upgrades, with Daiwa Securities moving QCOM from neutral to outperform and raising its price target to $225, alongside similar increases from Tigris Financial and Benchmark. Despite the bullish price action, the consensus remains cautious, with the average analyst rating across over 40 polled by FactSet still registering as a hold, maintaining an average price target of $176.72, placing QCOM roughly 34% above this consensus. The broader semiconductor sector also contributed to the positive trading session. Intel gained 3.6% after announcing a preliminary deal to manufacture chips for Apple devices, and the PHLX Semiconductor Index recorded its largest 25-day rally since the dot-com bubble in 2000. This sector strength is underpinned by projections that global semiconductor sales will exceed $1 trillion this year, largely fueled by demand in AI infrastructure and data centers. Qualcomm is strategically positioning itself to capitalize on this massive tailwind by entering the data center market. Qualcomm has demonstrated diversification by building revenue streams across automotive, the Internet of Things, and AI applications, which was reflected in its recent fiscal Q2 results. The company is scheduled to provide further details on its data center ambitions during its Investor Day in June. Qualcomm, a dominant force in the semiconductor industry, is rapidly emerging as a new powerhouse, capturing significant attention in the tech sector. This development signals a major shift in the landscape of mobile technology and chip supply. Industry analysts are closely monitoring Qualcomm's strategic moves and technological advancements, which are positioning the company for substantial growth and influence across various technological domains. The rising prominence of Qualcomm underscores its critical role not just as a supplier of smartphone chips, but as a central player in the broader ecosystem of modern electronics. Further details regarding the specific areas driving this ascent are expected to emerge as the company continues to innovate and expand its market presence.